The financial matrix has you. Every morning, you wake up, go to work, pay your bills, and slowly watch your money lose value. But what if I told you this isn't just life, it's a system, a trap designed to keep you broke, distracted, and obedient? They call it the financial matrix, and just like the movie, it's real. But here's the really good news. I found the exit, and today I'm gonna show you how to unplug from that financial matrix and become your own bank. Before we get into the solution, we have to understand what the financial matrix is. A lot of you have seen this site that I've brought up so many times on this channel, and this is the US national debt. And this number just keeps getting bigger and bigger every single year. In fact, you can see right here, it's $37 trillion, $107,000 per citizen, almost $108,000 per citizen. But let's take a look at just 2020, which 2020 had 26, not even 27,000. So we've added over 10 trillion. And let's take a look at 2016, 19 trillion. So this thing just keeps skyrocketing and skyrocketing, and it is showing no sign of relief. Let's take a look at this number though. This is the part that is most disturbing, and this is the part that keeps you feeling like you're never gonna get out of debt, like you really are gonna have to work until you're 70, 80 years old. Now, you may be 70 or 80 years old watching this video, but I'm here to tell you that even a 70 or 80-year-old can get out of this if they actually learned some of the new skills in the new financial system to get out of this financial matrix. But take a look at this, $104 trillion. That is an insane amount. And look at this US total interest paid. You're talking about $5.4 trillion just in credit card debt alone. We're talking about $1.4 trillion. This isn't what has gone towards Medicare. This isn't what's gone towards defense. This is what's gone towards just paying down your credit card debt. Now, the cool thing is, take a look at this. You have DeFi bankless future, all right? And right now, U.S. federal interest savings per year is at about $1 trillion. So this new DeFi system is actually starting to work, all right? This number is growing, and it's growing to your benefit. And I'm going to show you some of the things that we have to look forward to here in the future in regards to DeFi. Okay, now where did all of this start though? We know that there's a deficit. Why? Why did this start? Well, this started back in 1913 with the creation of what we call the Federal Reserve System. And this was done, again, back in 1913. There's a really good book called Creature of Jekyll Island. And this book talks about how this was probably one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the United States citizens, because it literally entrapped them into this debt slavery. And I'm going to show you a chart here that's going to blow your mind. But this is the reason why this debt doesn't keep going down. Now, we've had times in the past, like look at 1960s, it was down to 52.76. That's debt to GDP ratio. The lower we get it, the better we are. Like 1980, 34%. So it's headed in the right direction over that 20 years time span. But look at this. In 2000, it went up to 57%, and now we're at record levels, 123%. So what happened here? So you can take a look. This chart shows from the inception of the Federal Reserve back in 1913, what happened to the value of the money of the US dollar. And you can see that it dove straight off a cliff within the first 7 years of its inception. After that, we started to climb. We had the Great Depression, and it spiked after that because the US was actually putting value back into the dollar, which meant that your purchasing power, the goods that you were buying, were actually going down in value, okay? But every time this has gone down, the purchasing power of every single United States citizen has gone down. Now, once certain things have happened in history, like look at this, US President Roosevelt criminalizes the possession of gold. What happened? The dollar went down in value against gold. Then we had something else called the Bretton Woods Agreement, establishes the gold standard and the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. This got slammed, just going down and down and down. Then we have the gold standard is abandoned by Nixon, and currencies are no longer linked to gold. You used to be able to trade your dollars in for actual gold. Nixon said, that's it. We're not going to allow you to do it because they were printing more dollars than there was actually gold. So they were lying. So they just said, well, let's just do away with that. And guess what happened? We kept going down and down and down and down. And now our dollar from 1913, since the inception of the Federal Reserve, to today is worth 93% lower than it was back in 1913 when we were actually being fiscally responsible. So in all reality, when you're seeing Bitcoin going up against the dollar, you're seeing gold going up against the dollar, that's not the case. What's happening is the dollar is losing its value. And here's the perfect example. 10 of these gold bars would buy you an average home in 1929 in the US, where 10 of these gold bars would buy you an average home in the US in 2024. So again, your home is not going up in value, the dollar is going down in value. And that sucks the life force, the energy that you put in to earn that money out of you. That life force that one point in time was worth way more is now worth way less. But let's take a look at like something like Bitcoin, right? You've got in 2016, you had to have 664 Bitcoin in order to own the average home, which was worth about 288,000. In 2020, you needed about 45 Bitcoin to own an average house of 328,900. And today, you only need 6 Bitcoin to own the average home, which would be about $434,000. So unlike gold, which is like maintained its value, Bitcoin still has a lot of room to go up until it finds that stability, that real price discovery that it needs to level out. And it will happen one day, but right now, this thing is shooting up like a rocket. If what I'm saying to you right now is hitting you, you need to be at our 2-day event, Decode the Financial Matrix. We're bringing together some of the most powerful voices in wealth, crypto, and consciousness, and we're giving away over $10,000 in crypto and NFTs just for showing up. You'll hear from thought leaders like Regan, Hillyer, Billy Carson, Jenny Gordienko, Mike Rashid, and myself, each of us sharing the raw, unfiltered stories of how we broke out of the financial matrix. This event is more than just information. It's a blueprint for the new financial system. You'll see how we're positioning ourselves, where the hidden opportunities are, and how to claim your seat at the new table of wealth. This isn't about hype. This is about truth, strategy, and action in real time. Click the link down below in the description. It's only $5, and it might just change your entire future. You've taken the red pill. Now it's time to decode the financial matrix. So now that I've shown you the difficult things, the things that a lot of people don't even understand, what is inflation? What does it mean when, the government keeps overspending and keeps adding to its debt? All of those things are hard pills to swallow, but let me show you where we're actually right around the corner in regards to a new financial revolution. Just here, you can see that just yesterday, actually, the Senate passes the first of its kind cryptocurrency legislation called the Genius Act. Now, it still has to go to the House of Representatives. They've got to pass it. And then once that's passed if there's no changes, then the president will sign it and it will come into effect. But essentially, this now gives us clear directive as to how we can actually have stable coins get introduced to the general public. In fact, check this out. Stablecoin transaction volume hit $28 trillion last year. A lot of you don't even use stablecoins, And this thing is crushing Visa and MasterCard. But the thing is, it's happening in other countries. So you're not seeing it in the US as much. I mean, I know I use stablecoins like big time, but that's more than Visa and MasterCard combined. Let that sink in. And check this out. Visa and MasterCard control 90% of all payments processing, which between the two of them did only $26 trillion compared to the $28 trillion. Guys, gals, we haven't even started, and this thing is already taking off. And guess what? They're using the blockchain. They're using Ethereum. They're using Arbitrum. They're using Solana. They're using XRP. These are the blockchains that people are going to be using. And once it gets to the point where you're using this technology without even knowing it, it's probably going to be too late to make some real substantial money. But we have an opportunity right now. So what is DeFi? I've been teaching DeFi since 2020. All right. So in a nutshell, DeFi is a way for people, businesses, or other entities to send and receive money directly to each other using their devices and cryptocurrency. But here are the real ways that you can actually use decentralized to profit. So you have things called decentralized exchanges. And by the way, I'm going to drop a link right up here where you can actually watch a video as to how I'm making money passively using DeFi. But you're able to now become the exchange. You can become the NASDAQ by becoming a liquidity provider. You can do lending like Bank of America can, like JP Morgan can. You can be the one that's actually putting your money against the odds or for the odds with the house because you become the bank. You become the house. That's what DeFi is. The bottom line, decentralized finance, or DeFi, is an emergency financial technology that challenges the current centralized banking system. DeFi, like the blockchains and cryptocurrencies it supports, is still in its infancy. So you have to remember there's still significant hurdles that must be overcome, but they're happening. You're starting to see, again, already legislation in the United States, which is the financial juggernaut in the world, to help let this industry flourish. And then we've got things like this. This is the undertone. This is the fertilizer to let this garden blossom. Ethereum staking hits historic levels of 35 million ETH. Right now, almost a third of all Ethereum is staked and locked up because people believe in what's going on in Ethereum. We have JP Morgan building on Ethereum. We have BlackRock building on Ethereum, but they don't own it. They can't own it. The network providers, the stakers, are the ones that are owning it. And now this is doing nothing but helping Ethereum absolutely explode. Look at this. ETH investors resume buying amid strong ETF inflows and low exchange reserves. You can see right here, Ethereum exchange reserves hit an all-time low amid a 583 million ETF inflows. Guys, gals, Ethereum, in my opinion, is about to rocket ship, and most of you don't even know it. In fact, I recently did a video on Ethereum. Check that video out, and I'm going to break down exactly why I think Ethereum is going to the moon. This is another chart. Look at this. Sleeping giants right here. This chart, if you were to see this chart in an investment, you would be like, no way, that's not even real. There's no way that that investment could be going up like that. This is what people are doing to lock up their Ethereum to earn yield on Ethereum, which in my opinion has way better tokenomics than Bitcoin all day long. These guys really thought it through and they've been working on it. And the majority of decentralized finance is built on top of Ethereum and layer 2 Ethereum blockchains. All right, if you want to know how I'm making passive income, including on the Ethereum network, click on this video. And if you want to go to our 2-day event, Decode the Financial Matrix, the link is down below. For $5, you'll get the opportunity to earn to learn up to $10,000 in crypto and NFT giveaways. Click on the link down below. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.